And
first family for sure.
Yes. So can you speak as loud as you can, because still it's quite faint?
I will keep trying, okay?
Thank you.
Welcome to the Dawn of Shade. I am your host, Gia Scott, and today is October 7th, 2008. Now, we've missed a couple of weeks, unfortunately, but our producer, Joe Montaldo, is doing much better as he recovers from his affairs of the heart. No, his wife didn't make him sleep on the couch. It was his literal heart. Now he's hopefully well on his way to recovery, and hopefully he'll be making some smart choices about lifestyle changes to prevent further incidents of that kind. I've seen many people close to me, and many of them younger than me, recently go through some serious stuff with their hearts. Everyone wants to think that just smoking, obesity, and a high cholesterol diet are the only reason these things occur. Other people will claim that it's a clogged chakra, perhaps a curse, or maybe even just bad genes. But we're an aging nation here in the United States, and we're paying more attention than ever to the problems of middle and old age. Which brings another thought to mind. I remember when 50 was definitely on the downhill side of middle age. 62 was retirement, and people in their 60s weren't real active anymore. You certainly did not expect someone in their 60s to still do yard work or anything like that. Now, I'm approaching 50 with something far closer to light speed than I want to recognize. Maybe my perceptions have shifted because I'm nearing that mark myself, but I'm not so sure. I'm seeing people in their 60s and 70s far more active than ever before, both mentally and physically. We've learned that we don't have to accept that it's going to be our declining years gracefully, but can instead do things to make our lives much more active, even as we approach the century mark. We know our brains are like muscles, and if we quit learning new things, we will soon lose the ability to do so. If we quit working over puzzles, we'll lose that ability. Now, I'm not saying that we can completely overcome and prevent such problems as Alzheimer's disease. I'm saying we can delay the onset of what was once called old age and mental decline. Our basic cognitive score, you might say, if we are free of diseases to adversely affect it. I've got a knot in my tongue tonight, though. And we've learned that we have far more power in our brain cells than we ever realized, too. Our brains are still rather mysterious facets of our bodies, but we learn more and more about them all the time. For many of you listening tonight, you may be wondering what part of that brain controls psychic phenomena. Can we train to perform on demand? Others may be wondering about spells and how our brains affect their function. Still others may be concentrating on prayers and wondering if our brains affect how they are heard and whether they are answered. Guess what? I've spent nearly a half-century perfecting the art of the question. It's good mental calisthenics. Working towards the answer, though, that's a cardio workout, and you're going to have to do it yourself. You got it. The answers aren't being provided for free or for a fee. I just hope this program helps you find your answers. Tonight is one more explanation. This gracious lady has stayed up half the night just to talk with us this evening, as she's in the United Kingdom, and the time difference can make things a little bit complicated at times. She is also the author of a beautifully mysterious book titled The Good Cat Spell Book. Now, this book, when you first see it, with its dark cover, mysterious cat, and gold letters, it just begs to be opened and explored. Inside, there's a surprising amount of information for such a slim book, from trivia about cats to the anticipated spells. Even those who look somewhat askance at such things as spell books are entranced by its cover and want to read it. But without me blathering any further about the book and its cover, let's get the author on the program and let her introduce herself. So, Jillian, would you do the honors?
Yes, hello. How are you, Gia? And hello to all your guests.
I'm glad you're here with us this evening.
I'm glad I am, too. I'm as nocturnal as a cat tonight.
Well, yeah, that's in our favor, for sure, because we're very late in the United Kingdom right now.
Well,
would you
thank
be
you
willing,
very much.
Would you be willing to introduce yourself to the audience and tell us a little bit about yourself?
Well, my name is Gillian Kemp. I'm an author, a best-selling author. I'm published in about 15 different countries, translated into different languages. The Good Cat Spell book is book number 11, and it's a book that I've been writing actually for a few years, so I'm really pleased to have it published by 10 Speed Press. So it's a book that is about how cats were worshipped by the Egyptians, then feared as witches' familiars, and the book is the reader and the cat working together as reader and familiar, casting spells for the benefit mostly of the reader. And I believe that cats have psychic powers, that they live more in the etheric realm, which is where the elements of earth, air, fire and water are put together, and that cat and owner have a psychic bond, that the cat is the owner's familiar that can actually increase the owner's psychic powers and spiritual awareness with other people and everyday life.
Well,
So that's a little bit about the book. I think that all women are witches because we all have feminine intuition. I think that it's something that girls get when they start growing up from being children into adults, and that we have feminine intuition because we're going to need it as adults. And that intuition means to be taught from within, and that our spirit has the same 5 senses as our body. It can see, hear, smell, taste and touch. But that our spirit senses are superior to our physical senses. For instance, our eyes can see as far as the end of the room, but our spirit eyes can see beyond the end of the room, what's outside the room. It can see what's through what people say or what they look like. The spirit eyes are stronger, all the spirit senses are stronger, and that by working with your cat develops your psychic powers. That's what I believe.
Well, you know, I've had many, many people tell me that they thought their cat was psychic. I work with animals, and when someone's telling me about trying to catch their cat, to take them to the veterinarian or whatever, the cat seems to know ahead of time. It just disappears.
Yes.
And spend half the day looking for the cat.
Well, this is it. Cats pick up on our senses, but by having a cat ourselves, we pick up on their body language or what certain meows mean. So that makes us able to communicate on a higher level in everyday life with people, because we can read signs that are non-verbal or is body language. So I believe a cat would know you're going to take it to the vet. That's why they hide. I think cats know our moods.
You know, it's funny. I swear my cats, living in New Orleans, evacuations happen occasionally. Anytime there's a hurricane that's headed this way, it's time to evacuate. Well, if it's not safe for me, obviously, I'm not leaving the cats, you know, or the dogs.
No.
So you go to catch, you know, you're getting all your stuff together, you're loading it in the car, you go to catch the cats. Now, when you're going to, you know, I've had the carriers in the house for an hour or so. You know, I'm obviously in a hurry. I'm obviously packing up stuff. Something's going on. The same cats that will give me grief, and I'll spend half a day chasing them around to take them to the vet, or because I'm going to board them because I'm going on vacation.
Yeah.
For this evacuation for Gustav this year, I didn't have any trouble at all catching the older cat. The kitten, he's only a year old. Oh, he gave me a run for the money, but he usually doesn't.
Yes. But then cats are good at picking up on weather conditions before people, aren't they?
Well, I was evacuating way ahead. They had not even ordered the evacuation yet.
No.
Because I happened to be leaving for the weekend, I originally had plans to be gone already.
Yes.
I just changed the plans where the cats were going to go to, which normally those of us who travel with our pets' cats don't make the best travelers in the world.
No.
So I just called the friends that I was going to visit, and I said, you know, if I'm coming, I need to bring the cats, and I might not be leaving
Yes.
on time.
Yes.
And they're like,
So
"Yeah,
you are the witch queen of New Orleans, are you?
well, I don't know about that, but I come complete with my own zoo, you know? Yeah.
Yes.
Because it's not everyday friends that you can drop in on them with 2 cats and 2 dogs, and they don't know for sure when you're leaving.
No, that is very good that your friends are animal friendly, but also your cats you feel are safe when you're there, that they wouldn't escape.
Well, I do use a crate. I'll admit that. I have a real
Yes.
big crate that I put them in, and, you know, they have their things in there. The older cat, she gets to walk around, but she likes to stay close to the crate anyhow.
Yes.
The younger
think-
one, he's destructive, so he ends up having to stay in there.
Yes, but
He
I
likes
think
to
that
break
they
things.
still appreciate being with you and having
Oh,
your
yeah.
company.
Yeah. Yeah, you know, they find it interesting, and actually, you know, I think that if I did take them more, they would become more comfortable with traveling.
Yes.
Because they would learn it's not threatening, nothing bad's going to happen. You know, you're not going to get a shot every time.
No,
Yeah.
that they're not going to the vet.
Right, right. Because the younger cat, he spent the entire time, most of it, with his face in the corner of the crate, you know, being pathetic. And he's usually a very friendly cat, whereas my other cat, she's a calico, and I'm told calicos are usually like this. She wants nothing to do with anybody.
Really?
Yeah, she's just very arrogant. She doesn't want petted. She likes to lay on my feet. That's as close to being petted as she wants to be. Don't hold her. Don't pick her up. Don't mess with her. She just wants to lay on my shoes and roll around when I come home from work. That's her idea of affection.
Yes.
Yeah, she's an oddball.
Then
That's
I know a
okay.
woman, quite a few women I know have cats that are semi-wild. They'll come in and they'll sleep on the bed, but then they'll decide to go out and stay out and won't be picked up. They have their moments where they choose to be either wild or home cats, but they've never properly been domesticated because they're semi-feral.
Well, maybe that's her story because she was a feral cat. Actually, she has a funny story. I woke up one morning about 4 o'clock in the morning, and the
Yes.
first thought in my head was, you need to get up. And I looked at the clock, and I said, it's 4 o'clock in the morning. I don't need to get up. And I rolled
Yes.
over, and for a while, I intended to go back to sleep. And this voice in my head says, you need to get up.
Yes.
And I'm like, aggravated. So I get up. Well, of course, the minute I'm up, the dogs run out.
Yes.
So I go to the door at 4 o'clock in the morning. You know, I'm just going to open the door and let the dogs in the yard. I open the door, and both dogs go out the door, but they stop right away, and they're wagging their tail like there's somebody they know out there.
Yes.
Now, my house is surrounded by a 7-foot fence, and then the gates are kept locked. And if anybody I know is at my doorstep at 4 a.m., they better be bleeding because I'm going to make them bleed if they aren't. You know? Anyhow, I stick my head out and look, and here on the step, meowing up my big dog, my convicted cat-killing dog's nose,
Yes.
is this little bitty ball of fluff. Well, of course I've got to go get it, because if I leave it out there, if that kitten had run, Red would have killed it before I even knew it was there.
Yes.
You know, she'd have just regarded it as one more rat or whatever, and she'd have killed it.
Yes.
So I catch the kitten, and I bring it in, and make a long story short, she never left.
What color?
She's a calico. She's a absolute calico, the light-colored calico.
I don't understand what calico is, and I'm not sure I've seen a calico.
A calico would be a orange and black, or a orange, black, and white cat,
Yes.
or a
I
gray,
know now.
orange, and white cat.
Yes.
Yeah, the tricolored cat. She's got, on one side of her head, she looks like she's a orange tabby. On the other side, she looks like a gray tabby.
Yes. Here, we call them tortoise shells. Those colors.
Okay, we only call the dark ones tortoise shells. The light colored ones like her, we don't call tortoise shells.
No. Anyway, I've interrupted you about you letting this cat in, and she's stayed ever since.
Yeah, originally she was up for adoption through a rescue group.
Yes.
Excuse me. But she turned into a devil cat every time someone looked at her.
Yes. So I believe then that she was a familiar because she sought you out.
Well, she definitely did.
She came to you and she probably knew instinctively that you wouldn't turn her away. So that was very clever thinking on her part.
Well, she managed to somehow wheel her way into a house.
And
First
into
of all,
your heart.
I'm not a cat person, really.
No?
No, cats are okay, but they just weren't my thing, and I
No.
always had the dogs. Always had dogs.
Yes.
And I have this big red dog, and like I said, she's a cat killer. I would never have gone and gotten a cat because of the fact that I knew she killed small animals,
Yes.
I mean, you just don't do that.
So Calico Cat, what name have you named her?
Well, when she went to the vet to get spayed the next day after she arrived, because she had a juvenile spaying through the rescue people.
Yes.
Because I didn't intend to keep her. She was, like I said, she was up for adoption right away. She was spayed the next day. They needed a name.
Yes.
And the lady who had taken her for me, the cat didn't have a name. It was just a kitten, She
Yes.
says it's Callie, short for Calico.
Yes.
C-A-L-I, that's the cat's name. And that's been her name ever since, Callie the cat.
Yes.
Yeah, I have Red Dog and Callie the cat and Sissy. Sissy is a dog. And then now I have Smokey Robinson the cat. So I have my own little zoo. How about you? What kind of cats do you have?
I have a Yorkshire Terrier called Rosie Posey, who is a stray. She was found wandering the streets of London, picked up by somebody, passed on to the police, who passed her on to a place called Battersea Dogs Home, which is in London. Nobody claimed her, so after a week they tried to rehome her. I went to have a look, and funnily enough, I was going to America to promote, I think it was the fortune-telling book, it was. This was in the year 2000. So I asked Battersea to hold on to the dog, and when I got back, I had her. So whoever lost her had 2.5 weeks to try and reclaim her and didn't. So I have a feeling she was an unwanted Christmas present, actually, because she appeared in April. So, and they thought she was about 10 months old. So working it back, I thought that by the time she left the litter, she could have possibly been a Christmas present. So I've had her for 9 years, and there's absolutely nothing wrong with her. The only thing was she wasn't house trained, but personality-wise, she's the most well-behaved, loving, lovely dog. So I always think that when a person gets a cat or a dog from a home, they spend their lives being eternally grateful for having been rescued. They seem to have a nice nature, I think.
Well, it could be. Red Dog, I acquired her because she was a feral dog, a wild dog, and a friend of mine bought her when she was about 3 months old, her and her brother.
What sort is she?
Well, she looks kind of, she's just, I don't know how to describe her. She looks like your typical wolf-like dog.
Oh, yes.
She's got a thick plush coat. She's red-colored with a black face.
Lovely.
I have a picture of her up on my website.
Yes.
Anybody who's curious what Red Dog looks like, Red Dog and Callie are both up on the website. I think it's under Gia Pets, so just go to exogenynetwork.com and click on the Gia Pets link on the left-hand side of the page, and you should be able to find those pictures fairly easily. But yeah, she's got ears that stand up, and I always call them Yoda ears because they kind of stick out the side of her head when she's relaxed and being silly. And, she's about 65 pounds, a very stout-built dog, roughly the size of a collie or Labrador.
Lovely.
Yeah, and she sleeps on my bed every night. And she's 7 years old. And I've had her since she was about 3 months old.
Yes.
And I was the one that tamed her and originally trained her. And she originally came from Arizona on the desert.
Yes.
And moved to New Orleans with me. So,
Yes.
yeah.
And then you've got another cat, apart from Calico.
Smokey Robinson is a very pale gray tabby cat. And I actually got him, again, by accident. My daughter was visiting me last year, and we heard this pathetic meow between two chain link fences.
Yes.
And there was this little bitty wild kitten, and she spent 2 nights out there coaxing this kitten in, finally gets it. I had the flu then, too. It must be a fall thing that happens to me, but anyhow, I had the flu. So for like a week, the kitten was in the bathroom, destroying the bathroom, because he hadn't been vaccinated or checked out by a vet or anything yet.
Yes.
So then, as soon as I was better, the cat went to the vet, got checked out, and then got introduced to the rest of the household.
Yes.
But she went home, and I still have the kitten, and she thought I should keep the kitten, and I was like, oh no, one cat's enough. I've got the kitten up for adoption, and I did. He'd been neutered and vaccinated. He's up for adoption. And I think it was in December when I said, Smokey and Callie had bonded, and she was often grooming him and whatnot. I was like, we got to keep Smokey Robinson, too. So now I have Smokey Robinson and Callie, and that's Sissy and Red, of course.
Is Smokey Robinson named after that singer, Smokey Robinson?
Yes, actually he is. And it was, one of those flu-induced things. She's like, what are you going to name the kitten? I looked at him, he was gray, Smokey Robinson.
But you see, that cat was clever too. It knew, it sensed that you would adopt it.
Yeah, I'm a sucker, I admit it. And now I'm a poorhouse going to the veterinarians because, oh my word, when you go to get everybody's shots and everything, it's like, the bills just are amazing.
Well, it's our duty. That's the responsibility we have. It's our duty to look after them properly. They deserve it, don't they?
Oh, yeah, we do it. And I just unfortunately have gotten it where 3 out of 4 go the same month.
Yes.
And that's a painful ouch. If it was, one every couple of months, I wouldn't notice it the same way, I don't think.
Why do you go so often then?
Well, because what I'm saying is I fixed it where I pay almost all the annual bills for the cats in 1 month, or all of them in 1 month, instead of spreading it out through the year.
Yes.
If I was taking one in January and one in April and another one in July and another one in October, you wouldn't even really notice it. But when you take 4 all at once, it's like, ouch. Yeah, then you notice it. Yeah, but Smokey is a destructive cat. He likes to watch things fall on the floor and break.
Really?
Yeah, I don't know why
Is he not very good on his feet then?
Oh, no, he drags this stuff out and throws it over the edge on purpose.
Oh, really?
Yeah. No, it's not an accident.
Perhaps he does it for attention.
Well, it could be,
perhaps
yeah, I think it entertains him. I think he likes the noise.
Yes.
I really do.
Does
because he works and works and works to drag things. I had some carved stone bowls. And because I had a kitten, I moved them so that they would not get knocked off.
Yes.
And I had them in the corner on a mantle with some other heavy things in front of him so that he wouldn't drag them, accidentally knock them off.
Mm.
He dragged them out on purpose. There's no way that he's accidentally got moved.
I think it's a game and he wants you to participate, so it's a way of getting your attention.
I could be, but I was a little unhappy because he chose the most expensive things in the house to break. And he consistently goes after those things. Yeah, so I was unhappy with him.
He's a little devil cat.
He is, but he's so adorable at the same time. He's the one, he comes up to me, meows, he stands up on his hind legs, puts his paws on my leg, taps me and says, "Pet me."
So you have no Ming vases on your windowsill?
No, and I no longer have carved stone anything left, I don't think. I have one vase left. He is not broken. Oh, I boxed up the crystal balls. They all got put away because I had the carved stone balls as well, and I put those away because I didn't want him managing that one. But the other carved stone items, he's done them all in. A lot of ceramics and whatnot. He's done it. I think he likes to hear things break.
Strange cat. He's come in and changed your life or changed your house around for you.
Yeah, he's reduced the amount of dusting. I mean, always look on it, on the bright side. I don't have to dust as much. Yeah. It may as well, because once it's broken, it's broken. That's just the end of it.
Yes, that is. It's bad feng shui, apparently, to glue anything that's broken together.
Well, I don't know about that, but pieces are always missing, and they, like the stone bowls, they can not really serve the purpose anymore.
No,
because they're more like stone colanders,
Yes.
Yeah.
So does he have lots of toys to play with?
Oh yeah, his favorite toys are things like water bottle caps, rings from milk containers. He has mice, and I even have this ball. I bought them that has a battery in it and has a furry tail, and it wiggles. My cats hate it. I thought it would entertain them, like a mock mouse or something.
Yeah.
No, they think it's a devil.
Yeah.
They think it's a devil. They don't like it. My cats don't like the laser lights to chase. That doesn't interest them either. It's like they look at me and they think it's stupid.
Oh, my sister's cat loves hologram paper, wrapping paper. And I think it's because they've got, the reason they see light or can see in the dark is because behind the lens of their eyes, they have mirrors that take in as much light as possible and reflect light back. And I think that's why my sister's cat, she's got two, go absolutely mad, frisking around the room, jumping over furniture and playing, grabbing on to that hologram-type paper. They love it, and I think it's because of their eyes, having the mirrors.
That could be. I don't know if I've ever tried hologram paper with them. I know Callie adores cardboard boxes. She chews on them, she scratches them, she destroys them.
Yeah.
When I was packing up to evacuate, I discovered several boxes that she had gotten to and eaten the corners off of.
Yeah.
Because I had some things pre-packed, in case I needed to do so. And she'd eaten the corners off the boxes. Yeah. And she loves to lay on a box, because I always keep a box beside my desk so that she can lay on it and watch what's going on. She doesn't want me to pet her much. One or two pets, that's it. Then she's going to run away or whatever.
So
or bite me.
That she lays on the top and watches you.
She lays on top of the box and just watches me. She lays here beside me, and then Smokey lays on the desk across from me, and he just lays there. He isn't even looking at me, but he just lays there.
My sister is cat mad, and my mother was a cat mad woman. And we had a Siamese cat, and it caught a sparrow, and my mother managed to rescue the bird from the cat's mouth. She brought it in and wrapped it up in a woolly scarf, and the bird, after it recovered, which was only an hour, the cat and the bird became friends, and they slept with each other. This is honestly true.
Oh, yeah?
My mother was very good with animals, and I've got a picture of the cat and the bird sitting together, this Siamese cat, and the bird next to it, and they slept together. They became the best of friends. And when the bird, I think it was about 4 or 5 days later, it flew away. But it didn't want to at first. She had put it on the windowsill, and it would fly back into the room. And then one day it did fly out. But still, it used to actually come in and hop onto the carpet, so he knew it was the same bird. But the cat that caught the bird, and the bird became friends.
That's interesting. Now, I did see on the internet, I guess it was 6 months or a year ago, there was a video circulating of a crow that adopted a kitten and took care of the kitten. I think it happened someplace on the east coast of the United States.
Yes.
But, you know, it was another amazing thing because, you know, there again, they're not usually friends.
No.
In fact, we just have a peace treaty in my house between dogs and cats.
They get on well, do they?
No.
Oh, really?
No, they have a peace treaty. The cats don't go in the bedroom at all. Callie doesn't go in there at all because that's Red's bedroom. But Smokey can go in there as long as I'm in there and he stays away from the Red.
Yes.
And that's because he simply ignored the fact that Red kept telling him she was the empress of the universe and to stay out of her bedroom.
Yes.
He just kept on coming in. He likes to lay on my feet and wants me to pet him with my feet, which is like the roughest petting you could possibly imagine.
Yes.
But he'll lay there and purr. I don't know why he likes it, but he does.
So your two dogs' names, you've got Red
and Sissy.
And Sissy, that's it.
Sissy, yeah, little Sissy. Sissy is a little Feist or Rat Terrier mix. She's also an adopted dog. And she weighs about 25 pounds, the short-haired terrier.
Yes.
And she acquired her name because I fostered dogs for a rescue group. And I had big dogs because I had a big dog already. And she comes into the household, and I have this big puppy. I don't remember what kind he was. I'm sure he was some sort of a Labrador mix because most of them were. And he would play with Red all the time, or she, whichever one it was. And anytime the two big dogs would start playing, Sissy would start screaming like she was being killed, and they're nowhere near her. And I would look at her and I'd say, "Quit being such a sissy."
Yes.
And that's how she got her name. Well, I shouldn't have named her that because after they'd been together for 2 years, Sissy, for some reason, decided that her station in the household would be better if she managed to succeed in killing Red.
Yes.
Well, Red weighs 65 pounds, and Sissy weighs 25 pounds.
Yes.
Sissy has short hair, and Red has lots of hair. Sissy's never even made Red bleed, but Sissy's pretty much managed to almost get herself killed.
Yes.
And she keeps attacking the big dog. So I live in a divided household. Part of my living room is Sissy's room, and Red is not allowed over in that part of the living room.
Oh.
I can't walk them together. When they ride in the van together with me, Sissy's in a crate, or else Red's in a crate. One or the other is in a crate, because it just finally got to the point, the injuries that Sissy was getting, because every time there was a fight, it would be a little bit worse than the fight before that.
So who is top dog?
Well,
Red.
Yeah, she's always been a top dog. Always.
She's the leader of the pack.
Yeah, she's been, like I said, she's 7. I've had her the longest. And,
so that's why, isn't it? Because she regards
Sissy wants to take over, and so she attacks Red, but there's no chance of Sissy ever winning.
No.
And so it's just a very, I'm scared to death. One of these times, Red is going to accidentally kill her, because Red's not normally a bloodthirsty dog. She's not prone to fighting.
No.
But she usually, when she would throw these dogs down that were being fostered, these young pups, she'd throw them down on the ground and hold them down until they said uncle, and she'd let them up. That's all she did.
Yes.
And teaching them how to behave. And that didn't get the message across with Sissy, so, every time it's a little worse, a little bit more severe.
Mm.
Well, I'm afraid that the next time it's going to be serious injuries. The last ones were pretty gruesome, but they weren't serious. And so for a year now, we've just had a divided household, and I don't have any fights.
No. You know how to handle your little furry friends.
Well, it just seemed like the simplest thing. Everybody said, oh, they'll work it out. And I'm like, well, I don't want them to work it out with a fatality.
No. You're a responsible pet owner.
They're best of buddies with a fence between them.
Huh.
They'll kiss noses and everything. But I don't trust Sissy because I've seen her switch just like somebody flipped a switch in her. So I know I just can't count on her. She'll be sweet, and then all of a sudden she'll jump another dog. And it's not just Red. She jumps other dogs.
Yeah.
I have to watch her all the time.
So she's slightly aggressive then, really.
Yes, yes. Sissy has, and originally I blamed Red. I thought Red was doing it. I thought there was some, she must be getting, I was going to take her to the vet. And I was afraid that, there was a physical problem. She had a brain tumor or something. Because all of a sudden, she's fighting with Sissy for no reason, is what I thought initially, until Sissy got caught running and attacking Red when Red was confined where she couldn't get away.
Yes.
Yeah. So then it was like, oh, this one's, you've been caught, dog. And since then, we've learned that she's aggressive with other dogs, too.
Yes. But all your pets, then, they're all rescue animals.
Yeah.
They've all found you.
Yeah, everybody used to make jokes that, because Red was, I got a phone call one day that said, a friend of mine said, I caught those puppies I was telling you about. And because I had said that I was looking for a bear dog at the time, which a bear dog is a dog that makes noise when you're out in bear territory and essentially gives you time to get away.
Yes.
And I did a lot of hiking and camping in remote areas, and everybody was afraid that I was going to get murdered by wild animals. So I was looking for a bear dog.
Doggy went too.
Pardon?
Bear Doggy went too.
Yeah, well, anyhow, he called me and told me he caught these puppies, and I went to see them. And the first one I dragged out was this red puppy with a black face, and she was snapping and snarling, peeing all over. She smelled awful. She looked awful, and she was mean.
But it was love at first sight.
No, not at all. They dragged out the second puppy, who was Wolf Gray with a black face.
Yes.
And this puppy wasn't as mean or nasty. It smelled just as bad and was just in just as bad a condition, but it wasn't as mean. Anyhow, I'm holding the puppy and getting it calmed down, and then I rolled, because I wanted a female. And I rolled the puppy over, and I had been told they were both females.
Yes.
And I looked at the puppy and I said, Dave, I said, you need to go back to school. And he says, what are you talking about? And I said, this is not a girl.
Mm-hmm.
And his daughter was holding the mean puppy. I asked her to hold it up so I could see if it was a male or a female. And it was a female. And I said, let's trade puppies. And I thought I was nuts, because I'd always worked with show dogs, purebred dogs.
Puppy.
And I'm looking at this puppy, and this puppy has got every reason in the world for me not to take it.
Yeah.
And I said, I'll take her. Yep. And like I said, she had worms. She has malnutrition. She's filthy. She stunk to high heaven. She's wild.
Yeah.
She's never had a collar on, never been fed, never been in a house, never been in a car, never been petted. When you adopt a feral dog, you're in for a long haul. And I knew that because I'd worked with wolf hybrids, so I was familiar with feral behavior patterns and wolf-like patterns.
Yeah.
And I knew what I was getting into. And it took about 2 years before she was real dependable pretty much all the time.
Yes, but isn't it lovely when you get a dog like that to watch them blossom and bloom and their personality develop?
Oh, everybody says she's wonderful. The only thing is, Red has one flaw. Because of the fact that I kept her so close to me all the time training her, she now suffers from severe separation anxiety.
Yes.
And if I leave her in a someplace, I have to crate her because she's so destructive, and she will destroy the crate. I know that when I come back, she's absolutely completely tore the crate apart, as well as done damage wherever I left her.
Is that because she wants to get out to find you?
Yep. She was an escape artist as a young dog, and leaving her behind was the job I had then. I couldn't take her with me. Now I take her with me, which hasn't done much to eliminate the separation anxiety, but at least I don't have to deal with the cleanup.
No.
Yeah.
So you said you worked with show dogs?
That's what I used to do a long time ago. I worked with show dogs. That's what I'd done from the time I was a kid. I'd worked with show dogs and obedience dogs and trial dogs, and so taking on a mixed breed feral dog for my personal dog was kind of a strange thing to do.
Yeah.
I was used to dogs that had the best of care, not no care at all.
But then you've shown that what a lot can be done with a dog like that.
She's very obedient. People are, they're always like, oh, I want a dog like her. And I'm like, this took 7 years almost of training to get her to this point. I can move my hands or my head, and she knows what it means.
Yes.
She can come up to me, and she'll poke me in the ribs, and she can tell me whether she wants a drink, whether she wants out, whether she wants something to eat, or if she just wants to play.
Because the poke in the ribs is different for each one?
No, because after she pokes me in the ribs and I look at her, she does different things. If she wants to eat, she will move her mouth in a chewing motion.
Oh, yes, I see. That's clever.
And she does things like that. It's not real clever when they wake you up at 2 o'clock in the morning to tell you they're hungry.
Is that because... Can I ask, is that because you taught her those tricks, or is it because you understood her language? She just taught herself to do that. The only thing she does that I've never figured out is she makes a sneezing noise, and I've never figured out or found anybody else that knew what the sneezing noise is, because she does it on purpose. My dog does that, and I interpret it as the word yes. It's a happy noise.
Well, it doesn't quite fit when Red does it to make it as a yes. But, yeah, she's always happy when she does it, but she's wanting something.
Yes.
But I don't know what it is. And I've never figured out what it is that she's wanting.
Well, if I ask my dog, do you want a certain thing, she'll do that sneezing noise to say yes.
Ah, okay. No, if I ask her if she wants something and it's the right thing, Red does like the happy dance. It's like, oh, you figured it out.
Yes. So you're quite an animal expert.
Well, I don't know if I would call myself an expert, but dogs make sense to me. There have been people who've watched me with dogs, and these are other people's dogs. They're not even mine. I may not even know them very well. And I have firmly convinced people that I'm using some sort of magic on them. I'm really not. I'm using just a little bit of psychology on them. I know that they're going, what the probabilities are of what they're going to do, given the set of circumstances that I've managed to set up. So, I know, I can pretty well predict what they're going to do. If you have 2 gates open, they're probably going to go through both gates. That's just the way it is.
Yeah.
And so, people will think that it's magical, when in reality it's simply knowing how dogs think, what they're apt to do, and using those things. Now, occasionally I run across a dog I just can't click with. I've got scars around one of my ankles for one of those don't click with situations.
Yeah.
He was a bull terrier, and he was a puppy, only about 10, 11 months old. And he originally intended to gut me, so I figured the scars around the ankle is a good trade-off. And a hole in my shirt where, I twisted away on the first attack, and he did get me on the ankle. Yeah, so occasionally that does happen.
And cat scratches? Have you got any cat scratches?
I have a scar on my arm. It was my daughter's cat, actually, that bit me. He saw a dog. and he bit me, and all four fangs met in the muscle of my forearm. It was a
That
serious
sounds
bite.
Yes, that's painful.
Well, actually, I remember when it occurred, it just felt icy, is how I would describe it.
Yeah.
It was icy, and then it went hot.
Yeah.
And I fought infection in that arm for about 3 months.
Yes.
Cat bites are not nice in terms of infection.
Well, dog bites can be bad, especially dogs who are old with teeth that aren't clean.
Yes, they can be too. I guess I've always been fortunate enough to be bit by young dogs with nice, sharp, clean teeth.
A friend of mine was at a fete about a month ago, and a dog jumped up at her. She pushed the dog away, so the dog bit her in the arm, and she ended up with 8 stitches and being off work for a week. But had she not pushed the dog away, she probably wouldn't have got bitten.
Yeah, but it's hard to say. I remember one time, this is years ago, over 20 years ago now, I was riding bicycle.
Yeah.
And a dog came running from who knows where. Now, I swore that this was a 6-foot-tall black dog with 4-foot fangs, because that's what it looked like when it was trying to get my leg.
Yeah.
I ended up sort of smeared on the pavement. The dog didn't bite me, but I wrecked the bicycle. The people came out, snatched the dog, and disappeared. I don't know where they went, leaving me sort of in the middle of the road, bleeding all over. And that was when I quit riding bicycle. I bought a stationary bicycle, and then eventually quit riding entirely because the dog thing just kind of. I love dogs to death, but I don't like them chewing on me as I'm on a bicycle. And bicycles seem to say, "Come bite me, I'm prey."
They love wheels, don't they?
Well, they love the impression you're running away. That's what it is.
Is that what it is?
That's what it is.
A person riding a bike looks to a dog as if they're running away.
Uh-huh. Yeah, think about a herd of animals running.
Yes.
Okay? Or a single one that's been split from the herd running. They run past the dog. This is a prey opportunity.
Yes.
It's just instinct. It's not that the dog is bad.
No.
It's just instinct. You appear to be a prey animal.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, sometimes that prey instinct will outweigh the training or the leash, and it can have some painful repercussions for the bicycle rider.
Yes. I agree.
Yeah.
But I think that your cat's wandering in, tuned into your psychic vibration without you realizing it.
Well, I think Callie must have woken me up that morning because I don't get up at 4 o'clock in the morning for no reason,
No.
And,
so
I definitely
for
thought
you.
was get up. And I didn't want to get up. I was tired. And I didn't want a cat,
Had you not got up, life would be very different today.
Yes, it would. But I got up, and now I have 2 cats. Callie evacuated with me for Katrina and spent a month in Texas with me. And then came home, and now both cats have done 1 evacuation for Gustav because we had that nice little couple of years where we didn't have to do that at all.
No.
And knock on wood, we're done with it for this year. We're nearing the end of the season now. The end of November is the end of the storm season, so hopefully we have no more storms to contend with. And they keep me sane, I think, to have the animals around.
Yes.
And I think maybe that's what pets are for, maybe.
To keep us, I think pets are there for lots of different reasons. They say that having a pet, a cat or a dog, reduces stress, don't they? That people who have them are less likely to have a heart attack or a stroke. They calm us down. I think they do lots of work, really, that they're well worth spoiling because they earn their living.
The best thing that Red has done for me is I used to be plagued with nightmares.
Really?
And after I got her, and after she decided that she was going to sleep on the bed no matter what I said, I discovered that when I would start having the nightmares, before I would even really get into the nightmare, because it was repetitious, you knew the pattern.
Yes.
I would wake up with her jabbing me in the neck with her nose.
Yes.
Well, cold, wet nose and repeated jabs, it does. It wakes you up. Now, I don't know how she knows, whether I start stirring, whether I start mumbling, what I do that, I don't know what I do that would clue her in that the nightmare is starting. But she put a stop to it.
I think that's lovely.
I don't even remember the last time that I had one, and it used to be 4 or 5 times a week. I would wake up with the sweats over these things. And then I don't even remember how, it's been well over 5 years, maybe over 6 years.
Marvelous. That's your dog looking after you. That's dog being man's best friend.
Yeah, and as far as I'm concerned, just getting rid of the nightmares, she's earned a lifetime of cookies.
Yes. So I suppose she saw you moving or saw you getting uncomfortable, but she stopped the dreams.
Yeah, I don't know what it is that I do that clues her in, but apparently I do something.
Yes.
Whether I mumble in my sleep or maybe there's, dogs, my daughter's dog clues in when she's a diabetic, and she has a lot of complications with her diabetes. And one of her dogs, when her blood sugar gets high or low, has certain things that he does.
Yes.
He will start poking her if it's low, and it gets real persistent. And, she's woke up sometimes with her blood sugar so low she should already be in a coma.
Yeah.
And, granted, she can't walk or anything at that point, but, with the dog's help, she can get help. And so I've noticed a lot of things about us that we're not necessarily aware of.
I believe
I'm sure
that.
there's a change in scent with her because a diabetic with high blood sugar gets that acetone breath. So a dog would pick that up very quickly.
Yes.
So I'm sure there's other cues, like cancer dogs. They alert on cancers.
Yes.
Seizure dogs, they warn the person with seizures that they're going to have a seizure. So, these dogs are, they have senses that are much keener than ours.
Yes.
And what it is that they notice, I don't know. Some people say it's because of their psychic connection with us, but I'm not sure a psychic connection can be trained, and they can train these assistance dogs.
Yes.
So, I don't know what it is.
I would say that naturally our pets have a psychic bond with us, but I agree they can be trained, so it's intelligence as well. But I suppose the fact that you live with an animal, it just gets to know your ways and you get to know its ways.
Yeah, I think that's true.
So you have a rapport or an understanding that you can convey messages to each other.
So how do you think that your dog conveys messages to you?
Well, in the same way that you were talking about your dog nudging you in the ribs, mine does the same. For instance, I'll know that she wants food. She's not a greedy dog, and I buy her the best food, meat for people, and I don't eat meat myself. But she'll push her food bowl around on the kitchen floor with her nose to make a noise, meaning put some food in it. Or she'll look at the food cupboard. Or, because I've told her to, bring me your lead or bring me your collar when she wants a walk. But sometimes she'll bring it because she simply wants a walk, not when I ask her to. I suppose it's movements with her eyes that I know. She'll tell me she wants to go out. Or meaning going out of the door. Not going out in the car for a ride. Just going outside.
Yeah. They do. Well, does your dog love rides in the car?
Yes.
I know mine do. Yeah, if she sees that we're going to go in the car, especially if she sees camping gear and we're going camping, she's like a little kid at Christmas.
Yes, well, they know when you're going on a holiday. When you get the case out, mine sits on it, meaning take me with you, or makes me feel terribly guilty when I'm packing because she knows she's not coming.
Ah. And see, mine knows when the tent is getting packed, she's going to get to go.
Yes.
And so that is a point of high excitement for her. But
Yes.
you know what? Hang on to that thought. Folks, it's time for our break, so do stay tuned, and the Dawn of Shades will be right back with more from our guest, Jillian Kemp. Welcome back to the Dawn of Shades. I'm your host, Gia Scott, and we are talking tonight with Jillian Kemp, the author of The Good Cat Spell Book. So, Jillian, we've been talking about dogs, we talked some about cats, and while we were on break, you mentioned you were writing another book about dogs. Those of us that are dog lovers are probably going to be very anxiously waiting you finishing that one, too. Because the cat book I find absolutely fascinating. And like I said, you know, even though I have cats and I love my cats, I'm not really a super cat person, but a lot of people are. You know, my cats and I have an agreement, and they're strange, but so am I. And I have Callie who sits around with her very round eyes and watches things I can't see, and then Smokey who chases things I can't see. You know, they do. The cats keep me entertained. I don't know how anybody can waste time watching TV or going out for the evening when they have animals, because it's way more entertaining to watch them.
Yes, they are entertaining, and they're good company.
Oh, yeah. I have a tower for my cats, and I also have this really ugly chair. I call it the throne. And it's black Naugahyde, and it was ugly when I first acquired it.
Yeah.
I don't even remember how I ended up with it. It had to have been a sad story of something. Anyhow, this chair, I couldn't even sit in it because I always slid right out of it. And I was going to get rid of it because it was really ugly, it was really big, and I hated it. It's designed for men to sit in. Men liked it, but I couldn't even sit in it.
Yes.
Then I got Callie. Well, Callie decided to use it as a giant scratching post.
Yes.
So she's very destructive with her claws. And now I have a black Naugahyde chair with stuffing hanging out of it in many, many spots. And I'm afraid to throw the chair away because what will she start on next?
Yes.
So I have the chair sitting by the tower right now, and they leap back and forth and do their acrobats, and they have their mock wars, and then they get on the tower together and curl up and sleep together, or hang over the sides and you know, sleep, and you know, they're extremely entertaining.
So it's the cat throne.
Yeah. And then, like I said, it was ugly 5 years ago. It's beyond ugly now. It's kind of like there's no way to hide it now.
Well, perhaps it came knowing that the cats would follow.
Maybe so, but I wish they'd chosen something that wasn't quite so ugly.
Well, it saved you having to buy a cat scratching post.
Well, I have several of those, too.
Or you don't like it, but the cats do like it.
Right. I have cat scratching posts, and I have toys for them, and their favorite things to do is rip the shades off the windows. I don't even have curtains. I bought a whole bolt of satin to make curtains for my living room, and then came Callie. And I said, well, I'll wait to make the curtains until Callie grows up because I don't want to kill the cat for ruining the curtains.
No.
Well, 3 years later, I've still got a bolt of satin, and I've got a second cat, and they're still climbing the window shades. I don't know if they'll ever stop. I was thinking the other day, even though they're still climbing them, you should go ahead and get new ones because these are pretty ugly. They've chewed on them, chewed the cords off, and they kind of look derelict now, like a vacant house that nobody's been in for 20 years. I think I need new ones for them to chew up. Yeah, so, my cats choose toys other than what I necessarily choose for them.
Yes.
And 3 of the window shades have been their toys. As
So,
well
as
as
you
that
say,
chair.
more interesting than watching television, watching the cats climb the curtains.
And then there's the dogs. The dogs add to the chaos, especially when there's a sudden flare-up of war between cats and dogs, and you miss the starting. All you have is cats flying one way, dogs going the other way, lots of noise. You have no idea why.
And are they like this when you're alone, or do other people see them behave like this too?
No, when other people are here, Callie disappears. Nobody sees her. Smokey, he may or may not get involved. Depends on his mood. Red, of course, is going to be right there because she's got to supervise in case this person is potentially dangerous, at which point she gets to bite some body part. And Sissy is going to sit and scream the entire time. Because that's just what Sissy does, is she screams through the whole thing, She's a terrier, Yeah.
Well, I suppose they're doing it for your amusement, do you think? Because if they don't behave like it when you've got other people there, they know that you find it amusing or fun. And I suppose a cat wouldn't really know that climbing up the curtains or the blinds is a bad thing, or it's fun for them.
I think it's fun for them. I don't understand why they periodically try to sharpen their claws on the woodwork, because it's painted woodwork, and their claws won't even go into it. And so I don't know, they just make this horrible noise.
Oh.
And
like chalk on a blackboard.
Yeah, it's really like chalk on a blackboard. And you would think over time they would give it up because it's never been successful. But they still try it.
But perhaps for them, the noise isn't unpleasant. Perhaps the noise to them is actually quite nice. Perhaps it's a way of saying, look, I've got claws and I could scratch you if I wanted.
It could be. Although Callie, when she got out the other day and I called her and she came to me, that was an unusual thing, because usually she doesn't come when I call her. She came to me and she let me pick her up. That's another miracle. But I only got to carry her to the top of the stairs to go in the door because I have a raised house, at which point she was going to claw and bite me if I didn't put her down. And so I put her down so that she could run in the door herself. That's all she did, too, was run into the door. She didn't want to be outdoors. She remembered all the reasons why outdoors was bad, 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 bad. Outdoors there's dogs that chase you. There's wild cats that come and harass you. There's strange noises, strange smells, and there's no food.
Yes.
Yeah, no food was a big kicker, I think, for her. She's a fat cat. She likes to eat.
And prefers the security of home. She knows where she's well off.
Yeah, she likes to lounge around on her ugly black chair, or on the box beside me, or on one of the towers, or in the window, and that's just where she wants to be. She's a cat. She knows. She's got it made, and she knows it.
That's what I say. She wandered in knowing that you would have her. She could sense that she was onto a good thing.
I guess so. And her favorite treat is ham. She doesn't like turkey. She doesn't like chicken. She doesn't like beef or anything. She just wants ham.
Perhaps it's the salt. In fact, my dog likes ham, and somebody said to me, you shouldn't give dogs ham. I asked the vet, and the vet said, it's all right as long as the ham's not off. That there's nothing wrong with giving an animal ham. It would only be wrong if it were off.
With the salt, I just give it to her once in a while. She does already have a heart murmur for whatever reason, and so I do try to keep her weight down and not give her a lot of salty stuff and things like that. But
does salty stuff? Why is that bad? It makes them drink more.
Well, salt is associated with high blood pressure.
Yes.
Strain on the heart. So I I figured, they don't sell ham cat food. There might be a reason.
Yes.
So I use it as a treat. For one thing, I don't have ham in the house that often.
No.
It's something I might get from the deli once in a while. So, excuse me, I'll give her a few little slivers. That's all she wants, just a little bit. And look, she doesn't want any other treats. Like she doesn't want me to give her a piece of chicken, and none of that is good to her. Now, Smokey, he likes chicken and turkey too.
Yes.
But everybody loves ham. But Callie really likes ham.
Yes. Have you ever had cats before then, or not?
Growing up, I grew up on a farm, and there was always farm cats, And I can remember a family I used to stay with had milk cows, and I would go, and when I stayed there, we would help with the evening milking sometimes. And I can remember you strip, this is the old-fashioned machine. I know they've changed a great deal since then. But you would have to strip the udder before you put the milking machine on. And when we would do that, we would spray it towards the cats. The cats would stand up on their hind leg and chase the spray of milk.
Yes.
And it was just really entertaining to kids, We turned work into play, And so, even though we're out here doing work, we're playing because we're squirting it at the cats.
Yes.
Instead of just into the gutter.
And the cats were there to get the milk, were they?
Oh, yeah, because they knew that when you were stripping the udders, you would either just spray it in the gutter or spray it to the cats.
Yes.
And, so they would be there, and they were quite good at chasing that stream of milk.
Yes.
I was never very good at milking cows, or stripping,
well,
but, I did learn how. Yeah, I did learn how, but, it was just one of those things that just was amusing. We always had kittens and cats around.
Yeah.
Sometimes you would have a special cat. I had one when I was a kid. Her name was Frisky.
Yeah.
And she was a calico, very similar to Callie, the one I have now.
Yeah.
And she was my cat when I was a kid. I would put dog clothes on her or baby clothes on her and push her around in a doll buggy.
Yeah.
And
she enjoyed it. She let you.
Yeah, she let me do this all the time. I
My
think about
sister
it
used
now.
to.
If somebody tried to put clothes on my cats and push them in a doll buggy, I cannot imagine them cooperating.
But my sister used to do that with our cat at home. Dress it up in doll's clothes and push it in the doll's buggy. I think it's something children growing up do. It's like having a dolly, but it's a bit more alive than a doll.
Yeah, I would guess so. And you can pet it and talk to it and love it, and it purrs. The dolls never did learn to purr.
No.
No, But yeah, we had, and then when I was an older kid, I had one named Midnight. She was a black cat, and I remember that because Midnight had a litter of kittens, out of which 4 of them were snow white. She's coal black. She has 4 white kittens, and then 1 gray and white one. And what happened was somebody else who lived in town had a dog that roamed around. The kittens were in the garage. The dog came and killed some of the kittens. And we had 2 mama cats. Midnight had kittens then, and so another cat did too. And they both were in the garage. And anyhow, the dog came back, I guess, to see about getting the rest of the kittens.
Yes.
Those 2 mama cats took off after that dog, chased it all the way through town. Now, this is a little bitty town. It had like 200 people in it.
Yes.
Chased it all the way through town, and I guess on the other side of town, they caught the dog and just beat the tar out of the dog.
Oh, no.
And then they came home, and they climbed a tree when they got home.
Yes.
But I don't know the logic there. But I remember that Midnight moved. She had 2 kittens that survived, and she moved them up into a winter squirrel's nest in a tree.
How amazing.
And she kept them up in that tree until they were pretty good sized.
Yes.
And then she brought them down. So that was what she did.
Yes.
And I remember those 2 mama cats taking off after that dog.
Yes, your cats have all had lovely names. I like the name Midnight. But how strange to have 4 white kittens.
Yeah, I don't know where they were snow white, completely white. They had blue eyes.
Yes.
Yeah, she did. It did look really strange, this black cat with these white kids.
Yes. You know, the Egyptians used to shave their eyebrows off when a cat died in the family. Did you know that?
Yeah, I had read that someplace when I was a kid. Although I have to admit, when we had a cat die, I did not shave my eyebrows.
No, I don't think any of us would these days.
Yeah.
But it was a sign of respect and mourning. And they mummified cats as well and buried them along the Nile.
Now, I have read a lot about the mummified cats.
Mm.
And, you really look at how they regarded cats then and think about how we are with our pets today. You know, we're sort of swinging back. Cats fell into disgrace, during the Middle Ages and whatnot. And, it's kind of strange. Cats fell into disgrace and were regarded as agents of the devil.
Yeah.
And about the same time as they killed off the cats, we have a sudden epidemics of bubonic plague, which is spread by rodents with fleas.
Yes. Well, I think that the Egyptians worshipped a cat-headed god called Bast, or Bastet, and I think it was because they appreciated that they kept vermin away from grain.
Yeah, I lived in the Four Corners area of the United States, and I'm trying to think, 10, 15 years ago, quite a while ago, probably 15.
Yes.
There was an epidemic of hantavirus, and people died.
What is that?
It's a fatal virus, especially when they didn't know what it was. It starts off with flu-like symptoms, and I think it's related to bubonic plague. Anyhow, it's spread by inhaling particles from a specific type of rodent's urine or feces.
Yes.
So, and then we also had bubonic plague that would periodically rear its ugly head. There again, it's transmitted by fleas from infected rodents.
Yes.
So even though, I'd had, as a child, I'd kept gerbils and hamsters and mice and rats as pets. I'm not afraid of mice, but you develop this disgust at rodents because they were just disease-carrying vermin,
Yes.
And so when I moved to New Orleans, rats weren't a thing, really. You didn't see rats in Arizona, barring pack rats.
No.
But when I moved to New Orleans, I'd never lived in a city before, let alone an old port city. Port cities seem to be inflicted with rat populations.
Yes.
And after Katrina, where so much of the city had flooded, rats moved to dry land. I thought I was going to just absolutely go nuts at first. My dogs became rat-killing machines.
Yes.
Yeah, they did. They killed rats continually because they had moved to high ground to avoid floodwater.
Yes.
Like, you can't say rats are stupid because they're not.
Well, people think they are intelligent, don't they? They know they're intelligent.
Oh, they should know they are, but they're very destructive, and they are nasty, disease-carrying things,
Yes.
But I had a harder time probably than someone who had not come from an area with those kind of problems because, you just get drilled into the, rats are disease-carrying vermin.
Yes.
And that's it, you don't even think about it. All rodents are bad, bad, bad.
Yes.
So cats, traditionally, we always had a feral cat colony around our house because people would drop them off in the country. We would feed them until the population would get too big, and then I would trap them, and I had several ranches that would take cats for barn cats.
Yes.
But cats keep away snakes, scorpions, centipedes, your rodents, all that kind of stuff. Cats keep them away from your home.
Yes. They
You
do.
know?
I mean, I think that the mere smell of a cat is the starting point of keeping them away. Don't you?
Well, with the rodents, yes. With the snakes, I don't know.
Oh, yes, different.
Cats will gang up on snakes.
Yes.
Rattlesnakes, they will gang up on them. They will circle them, and they work them. Yeah, I didn't think cats ever worked in packs, but it was definitely a pack-like operation to watch them killing a snake. They would work together.
Yes, as a team, as a colony.
Yeah, yeah. And I guess they realized that, you know, rattlesnakes are very, very dangerous to them.
Very rattly.
Well, they're very poisonous too. You know, they'll kill
Yes.
a cat. So, but as far as the giant centipedes would go, I really hate them, and it used to make me crazy. We always had a cat or two in the house. I would go to bed, and the cat would pick that particular moment in time to catch a centipede, take it under my bed, and proceed to sit there and crunch it.
Oh,
that
like
is
potato ghastly.
And it was like, oh my God, can't you do that someplace else?
No, I think that what it is they say that cats bring whatever they've caught to show us because it's a reward or a treat for us. Is that true, do you think?
I did not think it was a treat to listen to them crunching a giant centipede.
No, but I think that she knew that you were relaxed and comfortable. She wanted to be with you, so she brought it to where you were, didn't want it taken away from her by anyone, so take it under your bed where she felt safe.
I guess, but
and where you might appreciate it.
It did. It sounded just like they were crunching. Well, you would call them crisps under the bed. And
yes.
It's like, and it would take forever for it to eat a giant centipede. Yeah.
Huh.
Because they get 18, 20 inches long, and they're about a half inch wide, I guess, with their legs plus that. And yeah, I could hear them walking. If one was in the house, I could hear it walking. That's how big a giant centipede is.
Oh.
And they're just, I hated them. And if you ever accidentally stuck your arm someplace where one was, it would wrap around your arm, and that was even worse.
No. I don't like the sound of that. I've only seen a little centipede, say a couple of inches, few inches long.
Now,
and only once or twice. I've hardly ever seen one.
These giant centipedes that are in southwestern American desert are pretty. They'll be in bright colors, yellow,
yes.
green, really bright colors. And their legs are as big as nails. And you can hear each one tapping on the floor. If it wraps around your arm, each leg can poke a hole in your skin. It's not real nice.
No.
And then they have pinchers on both ends.
Yes.
And I really did not like centipedes. And certain plants would get infested with these things for some reason. And
the green plants with the green centipedes and the red plants with the red ones?
Well, I don't know why they would suddenly invade a particular plant, whether it had aphids or something in it that attracted them. I don't know what they eat. I disliked them so much, I just never really studied them. But periodically they would invade a specific plant, and it would be hard to get rid of them. When I lived where I could have some chickens, the chickens would eat them too. They must taste really good because the cats ate them and chickens will eat anything. But the cats would eat them too.
Yes.
So
they have lots of predators after them then, centipedes.
Well, maybe so, but they're big enough that they can chase away all but the biggest ones.
Yes.
Yeah, they,
So do you think you'll get more cats? I suppose you will if any more wander in.
Well, I keep telling everybody, no more animals. I am animaled out. But it's not, never say never. I learned that a long time ago.
Yes.
Yeah. While I've got you on the phone, in
yes.
your book, you have what's called the Cat Oracle at the back.
Yes.
Which is like a poster-sized thing with some numbers, and then it's got symbols on it.
Yes. Shall I tell you what that is?
Yes.
It's a cat oracle, so there's a list of questions, and with the help of your cat, you can find the answer to those specific questions. So it's a board, and there's a symbol of cats along the top row, and then there are Egyptian symbols. And what happens is you straggle a piece of thread across the board that your cat would chase. Your cat lands on a square. You look at the question number, and it's like a chart where you draw your finger along to your question number and then up to a cat symbol. And that symbol, the Egyptian and the cat symbol, guide you to the answer to your question. So a question might be, will the one I love me? The cat oracle can answer that.
Okay. And how do you think cats react to, because many of us with cats are also single. How do you think the cats react to us bringing someone else into our lives?
Well, I think a cat can let you know whether they like that person or disapprove of them. So I think a cat is a good guide. If it, say, curls its body and tail around the legs of the person you have brought into your home as a potential friend or lover, that's a sign the cat likes the person. I have a friend whose husband was being unfaithful, and she didn't know it, but her cat poo-pooed on her husband's trousers. And then the woman found out that her lover, or husband actually, was being unfaithful, and I think the cat was telling her in advance. So I think cats like and dislike people. I think cats can see, as I say, your cat seemed to home in on knowing that they were onto a good thing when they arrived at yours to be adopted by you out of the blue. So I think cats can tell us things if we listen to them and watch their body language. Or I think that message about the cat poo-pooing on the husband's trousers was a very blatant way of saying it. So I think sometimes cats convey a subtle message. Other times they spell it out perfectly clearly. But I think it depends how well tuned in to their cat an owner is. I think people who really appreciate their pets have a really strong relationship with them, whereas other people who just, for instance, a woman I know was telling me that she knew a woman who got a cat to match her carpet and didn't look after the cat at all. 2 years later went bankrupt, and the woman who was telling me says that really that woman didn't care much about her cat. She just wanted it as an accessory to beautify her home. So someone like that might not have a good... Pardon?
Unfortunately, there are people who have children and pets for just that reason. It's an accessory. It's not much of a commitment, really.
But
no
some
more
people...
than shoes.
Yes, who really care for their animals have a rapport, a kind of psychic link. So that is how a cat could say, I like the person you brought into your home, or I dislike this person. If they dislike the person, they'd probably go out of the room or hide away or show fear.
Callie has never met anybody she approves of. No, when I was staying with the friends for Gustav, the most recent hurricane, she liked it there. She came out, she socialized, she was friendly, she let everybody pet her. She was completely unlike her normal self. Like right now, she's really trying to annoy Red because they're both right here beside me.
Yeah.
And Red's tail was wagging, so Callie reached out and batted it. which Red spun around and gave her a dirty look, and Callie proceeded to act like she was just giving herself a bath. And I had never touched the tail. Yeah. It's a regular game. She likes to annoy Red when Red is not looking.
Yes. I suppose it sounds a bit like Tom and Jerry.
Oh, yeah.
I know that's
she likes
cat
to
and mouse.
bat the ears. She likes to bat the ears when Red's asleep and wake her up and run like crazy. Yeah.
I suppose they're behaving like children in a way, aren't they?
Well, yeah. They will seem to bicker, and they seem to, when things are going badly, they seem to appreciate each other.
Yes.
Whereas when things are going well, they pick on each other.
Huh.
And right
so
now,
they've got a pecking order.
Oh yeah,
They'd probably miss each other like mad. Perhaps it's like naughty little brothers and sisters. They fight like crazy. But if anybody else were to threaten either one of them, your pets would come to one another's defense.
Well, I certainly hope so. Like right now, Red, the convicted cat killer, is laying curled up at my feet looking at me, waiting for something good to eat.
Yeah.
And right beside her, I mean, literally her head is resting on the same box. Callie sits on the box where she normally perches. She's looking at Red's ear thinking, oh, I want to swat that ear, but she's wide awake.
Yeah.
And she's doing her little antics there, rolling around and whatnot, being silly. And the dog knows she's not supposed to snarl or growl at her or she's going to get in trouble.
Yeah.
And, it's a normal evening routine for them.
Yeah.
To do that. Yeah.
I've got my Yorkshire Terrier sitting next to me now. She's sprawled out on the sofa. But the lady I take her to who does the dog grooming said that a cat that she's got, I feed when she goes on holiday, wandered in from nowhere and healed her broken heart. And she says what happened was the cat sat around outside. She lives in the country. And her husband got ill and eventually died. They had half a dozen dogs, which went one by one. And on the last day, when the last dog died of old age, that's what I mean by going one by one, this cat wandered in and has been a permanent fixture ever since. And she thinks that the cat knew that disaster was about to strike, or not about to, but over a period of time, and watched and then moved in, knowing that she needed comfort from somewhere. She thinks that cat more or less saved her from going mad.
Well, they do. They really, it's known that pets do a lot for depression.
Yes.
The act of petting an animal, stroking them, with your hand and scratching them behind the ears, just doing that actually makes your body release the happy hormones, which combats depression in itself.
Well, that is something I didn't know. I knew that they reduced stress and heart pressure, or made heart attacks less likely, but that is really interesting.
Red has a knack. Anytime I can tell if I walk into somebody's house, if anybody's depressed, I don't care how well they're hiding it, because Red does certain things with depressed people. Someone that she has completely ignored before, when they're depressed, she goes straight to them. She will insist they pet her. She will sit beside them. She'll lay her head on their lap. She will do everything she can to get them to pay attention to her.
Because when they stroke her, it releases a happy hormone in them that makes them happier.
Yeah. And, at first I thought it was just a coincidence the first time she did that. But over time, over the years, I've noticed she consistently does it. And it doesn't matter if it's someone she knows or not. Depressed. Why depressed people attract her, I don't know. But she's very persistent about it.
Well, perhaps she just...
that's her little purpose in life,
Yes.
And she always picks out a depressed person in the crowd. And that's who she's going to go to.
So that's her instincts homing in on something she picks up from them. Do you think it's their aura?
I don't know if it's scent, their aura, what they're doing. I do know there are assistance dogs that are trained to work with depressed people.
Yeah.
And that people who have chronic depression issues can get one of these assistance dogs to stay with them. So apparently, this is again something dogs can be trained to do, which says it's probably our scent changes when we're depressed.
Oh.
And that's what she's picking up on, is that there's a shift in your scent. Just like if you're afraid, your scent changes.
Yes.
Or you're angry, or you're happy, your scent changes. So logic says our scent probably changes when we're depressed as well.
Yes.
And, she picks up on it, she notices it, she pays attention to it.
Yes.
And,
They're
it
amazing,
could be something
aren't
that she just learned that depressed people aren't going to push you away. I don't know what it is.
No.
But she does, she is attracted to people who are depressed.
Yes. I had a cat called Maestro once, and we had the house painted, so the letterbox was taken off. It was a kitten, and so it started coming in through the letterbox. Then when the letterbox was put back on when the paint dried, it instead used to knock on the letterbox to come in. That was a clever trick it taught itself.
Yeah.
It also used to drink water from the dripping tap in the kitchen until we got a new washer put on the tap.
Ah, ruined its fun, huh?
Yes.
I've seen cats that if you put milk in a jar, with a narrow neck so their heads wouldn't fit,
yes,
they would take their paw, dip their paw in the milk,
yes,
lift their paw out, and lick the milk off.
Yes. We had a cat that did that, actually. It used to dip its milk, or dip its paw in its saucer. But that's a way to encourage them to do it, is it?
I guess so. But I've seen cats do that. Cats can be trained to use a regular human toilet. Some cats are fascinated by the flushing toilet.
How does someone train them to do that?
You can actually buy kits in the United States. It's a set of progressively smaller rings to sit on your toilet seat.
Yes.
At first, you put flushable litter in there.
Yes.
And over time, the litter goes away, and the hole gets bigger and bigger until they perch on the edge of the toilet, do their thing, and go on about the day.
That's lovely. That is properly cat trained, that is.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. No litter box.
And probably better than a man, because at least they keep the toilet seat down.
Well, this is true. This is true. Yeah, I've often made jokes that, because I got read shortly after I got divorced, and that I traded a husband for a dog, and it was because she was less hairy. She was always happy to see me. She never griped about dinner. She never borrowed the car. She never got in the bank account. I mean, that was a win-win situation.
Yes, and always faithful.
Yes, yes. Well, unless there's food involved. But she's going to come home as soon as the food's gone. Yeah. But yeah, it was a joke. I mean, but still, it did. It amused me at the time when I tell people, "Hey, I just traded him in for a dog."
And then the cats moved in too.
Yeah, the cats waited till I moved to New Orleans. In Arizona, I just had the feral cats, and I had so many there. When they get up to about 50, I'd say I restricted it. I controlled it by the amount of food I could afford to buy. When I would go through 100 pounds of food a week, that was time to weed the colony. And I would set the cat trap, and whatever cats I caught were the ones that would go to the ranches.
Yes.
And I would reduce the numbers. We had tried spaying and neutering them, but that got real expensive when when one of the cats bit the vet and had to be quarantined and so forth and so on. That one spaying cost enough that we should have been able to do the entire colony.
Yes.
And after that, we said, well, okay, we're just not going to do that anymore. That's too expensive. Because it was like $400 or $500 for this cat bite. And we told the vet that these were wild cats, so I don't know why or how or whatever, but it was very expensive anyhow. And there was rabies always, so it boiled down to we just couldn't afford that. People kept dropping cats off; they kept having kittens faster than anything. So periodically, I would just haul them out there. But I can remember times I went fishing once, and I came home and I had laid the stringer of fish on the hood of the Jeep, carried something else in the house, came straight back out of the house. The cats had already eaten all of the fish, and the stringer was chewed into short pieces.
Really? And how long had those fish taken you to catch?
Oh, they took me like half a day. The cats ate them in 2 or 3 minutes. I mean, that's how many cats there were.
Yes.
So you really, it was a lot of cats that didn't even have names.
Yes.
You had no idea how old anybody was.
No.
There was just a lot of them. I would just take and open up a bag of food on the carport, and you didn't even put it in dishes because they went through 25 pounds of food in 2 days.
Yes. But you did the responsible thing. You sent them to worthwhile people.
Well, hopefully, eventually, though, they would end up wandering away from the barns, and then the coyotes would kill them.
Oh.
So it was not nice in one way, but in another way, it was better than just killing them. I mean, they had a chance. If they were smart and stayed by the barn, they were okay.
Yes.
But if they wandered off, then no, they weren't. And we had coyotes around our house too, but apparently not as many. I don't know, because they sure didn't seem to do much to the numbers of the wildcats that we would end up with.
So your childhood, you were very country orientated, always surrounded by animals.
Yeah, I grew
You've
up
got
in
a
the
natural
country.
flair for them.
I grew up in the country. I was around cows and horses and goats and chickens and ducks and cats and dogs, and we went fishing and we went swimming and camping and hiking and all that kind of stuff.
That's nice. A natural lifestyle.
Well, I think I had a very good childhood.
Yes.
It was we did a lot of different things, and it was the animals
and
always made it really nice.
talent for milking cows, I doubt many people would know how to these days. Would they?
Well, I wouldn't say that I know how. My grandmother said I must pinch or something, because cows would always kick when I milked them. So I was not very good at it. I knew how, but I would only get a quarter of the milk that anybody else could get from the same cow.
You knew how to milk a cow.
Yeah, I knew how, but I wasn't very good at it. Yeah, you learn to do a lot of different things. And I guess that's normal for someone that grows up in the country. And I was fortunate enough too that I grew up with people that had been born in the 1800s as active parts of my life.
Yes.
They were mentally and physically active people. So I learned a lot of things that a lot of people my age didn't learn.
Yes.
And even my own children grew up with 5 generations being alive. So,
that's
they're
fantastic.
10. They have the opportunity to learn from people that have been born long, long before them.
Yes.
So it's, when you have elders around children, I think it's very good.
So do I, because I think old people have such a lot of knowledge that they are very interesting.
Well, I think about my great-grandparents. They grew up seeing things go from horse and buggy to a man landing on the moon.
Yes.
I mean, that was just an amazing
when you
change
compare those two extremes, really.
Yeah. It's mind-boggling,
Yes.
My great-grandmother was fascinated by convenience foods. I could tell 100 stories about her and convenience foods Because in the 60s, some of the convenience foods promised a lot and delivered very little.
Well, I would say stay away from convenience foods and eat natural foods, personally.
Yeah, but like I said, she was fascinated by them because she'd grown up where you only ate what you yourself canned, grew, et cetera, et cetera. So the idea that you could have fresh strawberries by adding hot water in wintertime just was intriguing to her.
Yes.
Never mind it didn't work, but, you know, it was a great idea.
Yes.
Yeah, I can remember, you know, she was just always so devastated when the food failed to be anything like the commercial said it was going to be.
Yeah.
And she would always get the grocer to special order this stuff for her. And it was always such a disappointment. But it was, you know, even as a child, I remember being very amused because she was so gullible.
Yeah.
She always believed it.
Nature knows best.
Yeah, yeah. But you know what? We are out of time.
Oh, that's gone quickly.
Yes, it has. So, you want to real quick tell everybody what your website is and how they can get your book?
The website is gilliankemp.com. My book is called The Good Cat Spell Book. It's published by 10 Speed Press and available in the main chains.
Okay. Well, folks, our time has rushed past us again, and it's drawn to a close. Do stay tuned, and again next week, and Desmond Green is going to join us. We're going to discuss the 4 R's and maybe some diet mealtime issues with him as well. You can always find information about our guests on our website, exogenynetwork.com. That's spelled EXOGENYNETWORK.com, along with a lot of related information, including reviews and contests. You can also sign up for our newsletter free of charge. I hope all of this information provides you with an illumination for your personal journey towards truth. But with that, it is time to go. So I'm your host, Gia Scott, and good night.